Good morning and welcome back to Morning Express. We're glad you're watching on this Wednesday. It is the 10th day. Yes, it is the 10th day of June. A great discussion that I enjoyed watching and listening to what the guest panelists had to say with Michael Gitonga on the newsroom about just how we're approaching some of these stories. And important also that, as Eric was saying, a lot of the buck does stop with the newsroom. So food for thought, and keep the discussion going online. Michael will definitely be tweeting and replying to some of your tweets as we continue with the show, because now we're all about our relationships. And I'm with the boys today, and we're talking about modern dating. So what does love, connection, romance look like today? It has definitely changed. Some things perhaps have not changed. Some things have gotten crazy, a little bit weird. Some have remained as they were. But a take home for you today should be, what is it that you need to keep from the traditional methods and what we're seeing today? What is it you need to eliminate? How is it you approach dating? So this should be an interesting conversation, and I hope you can tweet and share your thoughts with us. Other questions or what you think, what your experience has been, would be great to hear from you. Perhaps we'll also have some time to allow you to call in and engage with our guest this morning, Ken Ouko, who's a sociologist.
Good morning, Sophia.
Good morning. I said the boys because now you become our boys. And Chris Hart, of course, relationship expert. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're keeping well. You are? Ken?
Yes, we're
I
surviving.
love your jacket.
Thank you.
We are so bright and
very bright.
Huh?
Very, very bright.
Very, very bright. We went
That's
red and yellow. Intentional.
Because the weather is a bit dull.
It is, and it's rather cold, even in studio. Oof. Crazy, crazy cold. But let's talk about, Chris, I'll begin with you. Dating, in your opinion, evaluation, how has it evolved? Is it so different now?
Oh, it's enormously different, yes. I mean, go back far enough, it almost didn't exist. You know, people, well, you think about arranged marriages, there wasn't really any dating. In stable rural communities, it was practically almost inevitable who would marry who, because the numbers were so small. So people didn't really date at all.
Yeah.
Then you went through this process where it became very much a courtship. You know, if you go back into 1800s and early 1900s, it was courtship. It was quite short, 2 or 3 years maybe, people would spend dating and they'd marry. Now people are getting married much, much later. They are spending much, much more of their lives single. And so dating has evolved into a two-stage process. There's the real courtship, when somebody decides that it's about time to get married. Then they start dating seriously, and for a couple of years they'll date somebody really seriously, and its intent is to get married. But for the 10 years or more before that, it'll be a very casual process.
Yeah.
And what's particularly noticeable is that now people are socializing in very large groups, mixed groups, and then they date within those groups. So everybody knows one another. You all know who's dating who.
Who's dating who, who's being
Yes, and it's all very relaxed and casual. And at the bottom end of it, of course, it's a hookup. You know, it's that casual.
Yeah.
So yes, changed. Yes, I'll say it's changed.
Yeah. What about you, Ken?
Yeah, actually, if you look at the sequence of dating, the stages, usually the first one is the sighting, where you find the person you want to date. And like Chris says, traditional society, that was the easiest thing on earth. Yeah, these days, you know, random, you're walking around, you're sitting somewhere, and you have to, you know, make your citation out of those. Then came the most difficult stage of dating, which is icebreak. How do you start? Yeah, but again, in traditional society, things were easy, because you knew who was who, and then you just need to, you know, somebody would even arrange it for you and say, oh, today is Sophia, she'll be at such a place, you go to the corner of the market, she'll be there, you know. But now, the society is so highly individualized that it's up to you, even with a neighbor, to try and find a way of starting to talk to them. Yeah. Yeah, which was not the case long ago. So then when you get to the real process, you know, the other stages of dating, things are basically fast forward in modern society. Yeah, and things happen so fast. You know, the stage it would take before, from the vertical to the horizontal in traditional society was deliberately lengthy. And the reason they would do that is so that by the time you're going there, you already know who you're going there with. Yeah, but now it's so casual. You know, it's you meet, and because of WhatsApp and all these things on social media, you can negotiate on phone. You know, and yeah,
Yeah.
by the second date you're set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that stand out as significantly changed is the time that it takes from, you know, that citation, I imagine, or, you know, that I want to date, to the time you actually would get to an
Get down to
official
it, yeah.
date and all. So time is a key factor. Now we are speeding it up, the process.
Yes, and of course the methodology. You know, like you were saying earlier, your mother would even do it for you. You know, she invites the girl home and on your behalf, and you're told, today you need to look good. Yeah, and you already know what that is all about.
Yeah.
These days, nobody cares for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Your thoughts, Chris, as well, on that fact that other than, you know, that time that now is much shorter, the casual nature.
I think
in which
that's
we are
the
seeing
big
this.
change.
Yeah.
It's the amount of time that people spend casually dating, where there's no intention at all of leading to a committed relationship. So anything goes. So people they negotiate any form of relationship, from something, you know, very chaste and very proper, all the way through to, you know, the hookup happening late at night, just, shall I come over, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, anything goes.
Was dating traditionally always geared towards marriage? Were people getting into that stage of their lives when I want to get married, then I consider dating? Now it's, I need to just be dating until, you know, whatever. If I bump into marriage, I bump into...
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, these days dating is like a game. You know, and that's why there's multiple dating. One person will probably be seeing, you know, one man will probably be seeing 4 different women, and vice versa. You find the girls have this guy for going to the movies, another one for going to watch rugby, another one for doing this.
Wow.
And, you know. But long ago, those things were all straight and narrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything was straight and narrow.
I mean, it does become straight and narrow when people get to the age where they think, I need to settle down. Suddenly the rules change. Suddenly dating goes back to its old form, and people have a conversation where they say, hey, are we an item? You know, we're dating, aren't we? This is real.
Where's this going?
So, yes, where's this going? So, I don't want to see you with anyone else, you know. Suddenly the rules crystallize back to what they were 100 years ago.
Yes.
But up until that time, which can be quite late, you know, you could be talking about men close to 30, women sometimes quite a bit later, before they actually get to that point.
Yeah. Was there ever confusion with the traditional dating on whether you are dating someone? Because now we see a lot of that. Where you're like, what are we doing?
Traditional dating, no.
Yeah?
No,
It was
it
very
was
obvious.
always a courtship, right from the word go. In modern dating, it's not a courtship until you say it is. And then often people make the mistake of not saying it is, and that gets very confusing.
And what does that one do when you're confused? For the woman especially, we're the ones who find ourselves in most situations wondering, you know, what is this? I love you.
Hopefully, you only make that mistake once.
Yeah.
You know, the moment you realise that, hey, if I don't actually say, are we an item, and I want you exclusive, I don't want to see, then you're going to get taken for a ride. So.
But can there guys who will treat you in every sense like a girlfriend? Even everybody else will think you're their girlfriend, but they've never said it. So is it wrong to assume, or should you still ask?
No, I think it's good to come out and ask.
You have to say it.
Yeah, because when you meet Nigerian men or Jalur men, they're so good at their game, you know, and you'd be thinking you're the one. Yeah, but it's good to, I always tell young girls, whenever somebody approaches you, the first question should be, what do you want? Because men, like I always say, men have a very good answer to that question, but they'll never tell you, because we know what they want.
So what do they want?
You can't say that
Tell
in
us all.
public. You know, part of the problem is that, you know, I mentioned that people tend to socialize in big groups and constantly date each other. People are making very casual arrangements. I'll be in the bar. Would you like to join me? You know? Now, the first question should be, is this a date? You know, are we dating?
But if you ask that, don't you come across as this very demanding person? Can't you just have, you know, chill with a guy?
Of course you can.
Yeah.
People do for 10, 12, maybe 15 years. But when you get to the point when you want to get married, you don't want to do that anymore.
You can't do that anymore.
So when the guy says, let's have a date, you have to actually go back to the old formality. You know, and in fact, it's a really good idea to make it clear when the guy starts talking about a date, and you say, is this a date? You instantly make it clear that you want it to be like the old times. In other words, I expect you to turn up, collect me, take me to a posh restaurant. I expect a small gift. I expect you to open and close the car doors.
And let's talk about that, because those are very important things you're mentioning there. Let's begin with date. What kind of a date to go to? Because traditionally, what was the idea of date?
You go to the marketplace.
Go to the marketplace.
Yes.
Guavas.
Eat some guavas.
Yeah, that's
join
right.
the
Sit by the
dancing,
river.
whatever, the
Yeah.
village dance groups, I imagine.
Actually, come to think of it, it was very romantic.
It probably was very romantic.
Yeah, because now it's many imagine it's the dinner, the romantic. But is it good to fix yourself to that just one plate or template in terms of this is how to date, or can you get into more activity?
There's a script. Everybody should follow the script because that tells you that it is a date. It's courtship. We are thinking about evaluating each other for a marriage. And if you follow that script, then everybody knows what's going on. And the script basically says he pays, he makes all the arrangements, he does the pickup, he makes sure you are comfortable and enjoying the whole thing. He is demonstrating his social skills. He knows the script, he knows how to do it. Any guy who tries to deviate from that script is wasting your time.
Yeah,
the
because
only problem with a modern woman is
Yes.
that she'll tell you, I'll drive myself there. And
No, I don't think many women, after a guy has said, I'll pick you up, will say, I'll drive myself. Although some will want to drive themselves because they think
Sometimes-
if you drive them, then they'll be bound to
If
later
you-
on get to either come to your house
If you are
or whatever.
meeting a total stranger, if this
Yeah.
is a blind date, you've got to drive yourself.
be very independent.
You've
about
got to be very independent because all sorts of bad things can happen. But hopefully you don't do that. You actually go out for a date with somebody you already know something about.
it.
Yeah.
Somebody from work, for
Actually,
example,
the
mutual
success of
friends.
dating, it starts from familiarization.
Yeah.
Once you know someone, then they tell you, hey, let's do something, and you know what grounds you're doing that something on.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
already
and-
know
and-
that person's
yes, and they're
reliable
hinting.
and da-da-da.
Yeah.
They're suggesting. Yeah, and the beauty with modern dating is that people make it very clear. They say, let's go out and do this. Yeah, and there's no beating about the bush because you probably then have to figure it out for yourself. But like you were saying, sometimes the modern woman, will not want to follow that script until they're sure that you're dating. And that's where maybe you guys make a mistake because then you need to find out from this guy what's his intention.
Yes, you must find out what is in
But
there.
I think what a lady is saying, let me drive myself, she's trying to figure out, there are things that she
If it's a
doesn't
blind
know
date,
yet.
fair enough.
Yeah.
And to be honest, blind dates are a very bad idea.
Yeah, I
What
think
you
so.
should do is if you start a connection with somebody and you don't know them, you really should have a pre-date.
Yes.
You should meet for coffee at 11 a.m. Something that's quite obviously not
Yes.
romantic or anything like that. You get to know one
You will
another.
not be thinking anything funny
No,
until
no
11 a.m.
possibilities. That's right. Now you can agree to have a date, and it'll be,
Later.
plush restaurant, etc., etc.
All right. Can these little nice things, gentleman-like, we don't see a lot of that today. I think a few generations back, the opening of the car door for the lady, pulling the
pulling of the
seat,
seat,
open, now it's uko. Niko hapa kwa kona. Come sit. Time for paying the bill is,
gentlemen have
you see him
become-
looking, then he gives it to you to
I
check
know,
the
I
bill as well.
No,
Yeah.
gentlemen have become as rare as virgins. It's the same story.
Right.
Yeah, but when you think about it, there's a problem with the independent woman, with the modern woman. Yeah, she tries to show. A lot of these days when you go out to the clubs, you find women on their own, and it's not for a bad reason that men are not there. They're just trying to show that we can also do this. Yeah, and they're the ones probably who pick you up, they hook you up, and once they do that, they're trying to show you I'm in charge here. And she's probably the kind of woman who has a good job, she has a nice car, she has her own house, So you're not going to start telling her, come see my apartment, because it'll probably be inferior to hers. So definitely you have to be very cautious when you start this whole process. And once you get to know someone, the process of doing the 11 a.m.s or the 12:30 is to do a biodata on the person. So once you know what kind of a person they are, and you're thinking something maybe germinate out of this, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
can
know,
make up your mind.
it's really critical to do that. If you might do it in a coffee shop, you might do it standing by the lift. You only need to ask a few questions to figure out whether this guy is
What they
real
really
or
want.
not, what
Yeah.
they really want.
Yeah.
And you should never, if you're in the mood for getting married, don't go out with a guy who obviously wants a casual relationship. So
some fun.
figure it out long before the first date, because otherwise you're going to be at loggerheads
Yeah.
and it's going to be quite uncomfortable.
And
And
the
if you
bill,
think
yeah.
about it, the definition of dating is that gradual process. It's a sequential meetup
Yeah.
where you finally familiarize in that sense, not getting to know my name. No, you're familiarizing with someone in the sense of knowing their intentions, what kind of
Yes.
a person they are,
Their
and, yeah, and
values,
where this would
their
go with you.
ambitions.
Yeah.
And because you already have a matrix. Every woman, every man has a matrix. I'm looking for this kind of thing. So if you realize that the first 2 times you meet, that kind of thing is missing, run for the hills. Like
yes,
like
run for the hills. And that's why the script is important, because the script includes all these things. You know, the conversation has to slowly disclose information mutually. Like if I start talking to you and I don't get any feedback, I start thinking, what's she about? You know, she's not actually telling me where she lives, who her friends are, what she does. Clearly, this is not a proper dating relationship.
Okay.
Because the dating relationship exchanges information.
Yeah. Let's talk about paying for the date, because some people find themselves very confused and don't know, not sure how to handle themselves.
There is no confusion.
And good, you'll clarify for us why there shouldn't be any confusion. But some people find themselves in a situation where, fine, you've had your meal and the bill has come. So there's a lady who will sit there and expect he'll take the bill, he'll pay for it.
Yes.
Okay. Then there are women who are very willing, and they'll already start, the bill is here, and they'll look at it and already start, you know, contributing it. Some men will be offended, some will be okay with it. What is how to figure out how to behave when that, you know?
It's desperately simple. If you are courting, in other words, both of you have the intent of finding a marriage partner, then he pays, no question.
Always?
Now, always, 100%. Now, if she picks the bill up, she's really saying, this is not serious. We are just casually dating.
What if you're better off in terms of your, you know,
you shouldn't be doing that.
Chris is being
You're gonna kill him. You'll not have to.
There are some traditional things that are really worth following, and that's one of them.
Okay.
Simple rule, if there's any discussion about mutually splitting the bill, you're not courting. You're doing something different. If he tries to palm it off on you, he's not serious. If you pick it up, you're saying, I'm not serious. If you quietly sit there and wait for the waiter to give it to him, you're saying, this is a courtship. Pay the bill.
Yeah, and waiters know who to give the bill anyway.
Yes, they do. Well,
but,
they should
but
do.
if you think about it, it's not so much that he's being traditional. It's that cultured method of courting. Yeah, and courtship is such that even if you look at chickens, you know, the female will wait. The cock will run around and do all sorts of things. But if you think about the modern woman, that's usually where the spanner gets into the works, because the modern woman tries to, I think, overplay this independence thing.
But also sometimes a guy is struggling honestly, and you just want to not embarrass him.
Look, listen, why are you even contemplating going out with a guy who's struggling?
Okay.
Chris.
Get your priorities right.
Gosh. Okay, Chris. Don't go with the strugglers, the hustlers.
Look, if you're in college, if you're both in college and you're broke as broke, then you pick up the bill together. But we both know you're not getting married.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
10 years later, you're both supposed to have made some progress. You're both supposed to have saved some money and got a decent place to live, etc. No question who pays.
Okay. There's also the sense that many people will use that first date to measure whether there's a connection or not. And so they'll start those, you know, touching and, you know, throwing all of this romantic, very sexual suggestions. And it's just day one. So how is it you conduct yourself? Yes, you want to get an idea of whether there's that connection or a spark, but at the same time, really, you cannot hasten things. Yeah, it's too fast.
There's a script. There's a script for this. You see, now, if you really start getting overtly sexual, if you start kissing on the first date, smooching all over one another, not only are you confusing everybody, but you're also confusing yourself. You're actually creating a connection which is more difficult to break much too soon. So it's actually better to hold back a little bit. But at the same time, you've got to indicate that it is a sexual relationship. If I start chatting to you about business on a first date and sitting 3 feet away from you, we're in the friend zone. We're not going to get out of it. I have got to sit a little closer. I've got to make the little touches. I've got to make the remarks
Really?
that
Touches on the first day? You should not touch
on the public parts of your body, if I may put it that way.
Public parts of my body.
You know, I'm allowed to draw your attention by just touching
You know,
here.
when you think about it, it's the idea of dating is to eventually end up with a socio-emotional balance, which then is complemented by the physical. Yeah, and the fact that you've already declared your intention, these days, like I said, the phone makes it all very easy.
Yeah, we'll get
so
technology.
by the time by the time you're going out on that date, you already both know where you're going. And it's not so much that the guy will be creepy finger all over you, but the idea is for him to show you that I need this, I want this.
Yes.
And then for you, the woman, your idea is to respond in a, let's say, cultured manner, because you also don't want to just fall on his shoulders the first day.
So he shows he wants this by...
Well, like
yes,
we
exactly.
say.
You know, like when you're lifting up from the restaurant, for example, he'll probably ask for your hand.
Okay.
Which is okay, he'll hold your hand.
You
but
know,
if you're the kind of woman,
you do
Yeah,
know
get
these
that.
rules. You really do.
She does.
You do. For example, it is perfectly okay if I open the restaurant door
Yes.
to place my hand just onto the
On
small
your-
of your
yes.
back to guide you
Yeah,
through the door.
yeah, that's cute.
It's very
Not
nice.
the
It's very
bump.
gentlemanly. Yes, it mustn't stray in
a
either
bit
direction.
lower.
And we all know what we're doing. And
Yeah.
officially, I could do that almost to the Queen of England, but not quite. And we both know that I'm doing it because it's the public part of your body, but I'm doing it to say this is a date. This is important, you know,
Yeah.
and I want to know how you respond. Now, if you go, "Ugh," and we
Yes.
know where we are. But on the other hand, if you make it clear by doing something similar to me, like drawing my attention to the waiter, hey, look, he's over there, you know, now you're telling me this is where we're going.
Kiss, not kiss, first aid peck. all of those
Definitely
things.
not,
Nah.
in my opinion.
Nah.
Okay.
These things, especially the expression of intimacy, has to be, number one, mutual, and number two, they need to be, what is it called, crystallized, in the sense that if that hint is there and you're responsive, then it works for both of you. First, second date is a bit dangerous, because then you're already saying, I need to know how he or she kisses, and you're not there yet. You're probably going to make this a very
You know where the
short-term
confusion
thing.
arises.
Yeah.
You know where the confusion arises. 10 years earlier, 20 years old in college, people smooch on their first date. Because everybody knows this is not a serious
Nothing
relationship.
serious,
We're
yeah.
playing games here. We want to know how, we want to learn how to kiss and stuff like that. Fine, no problem. Rules change when you're courting. Courting, you have to keep a clear head. It has to be pretty businesslike until you've got past the first collection of information, which says, okay, this person is possible. Now, the moment you've got past the possible and I trust you, you can start to be more intimate, but not before.
Not before.
Yeah.
Okay. We can have our phone lines put up in case you have a question you want to share, no deal, an experience you've had, good or bad. Would love to hear from you. So we're going to put up those phone lines and would like to hear from you this morning as we talk about modern dating. And what about inviting in for a cup of coffee? Day one? No.
Nope.
You know, even when you talk about the second part of dating, which is now
Yeah.
courtship,
Yes.
it also has, again, sociologically speaking, we have stages.
Rules, yeah.
The second one is usually called sentiment and attachment. That's where you start expressing yourself. Some people may do it physically, but it's always very nice to tell the person, oh, you're looking really nice, and na. Of course, sometimes the language might go a bit,
Yeah.
yes, borderline.
Borderline.
You know, somebody will probably tell you crazy things, but then sometimes they do that just to watch your reaction.
Yeah.
There are women who take offense when you probably tell them something very intimate on day one. They get offended, like Sophia. Yeah, but there are those who are more liberal who will probably just say, this guy is trying to find his ground. Yeah, and then you play it along. If like he says, if you react, you know, negatively to the guy's touch or to his commands, then you're throwing him a hint.
Yeah.
Yeah, because these days men also, we are not available for that game of playing hide and seek. Long ago, yes.
Yeah. Hide and
it's
seek
not
is out
anymore.
these days.
Not
You-
these days.
There's no hide and seek.
No,
I'm
I
not
mean,
playing hard to get. Which
early
is not
on-
good. It's so easy peasy. Like,
no.
it's
You
just
see,
there.
before you get to the age of looking for a spouse,
Yeah.
you can do whatever you like. You can play all sorts of games, and people do play all sorts of games. But the moment you get to the point where you've decided you start courting, then you start playing by the rules. And the rules are honesty, no games, take each other seriously.
And exclusivity.
Yeah, totally exclusivity. And really what you're saying is, this is a tryout. If I can't trust you in the first few weeks of a courtship, clearly the relationship is a dead end.
Yeah.
It's dead end.
And-
Let's talk about technology and how that impacts on now modern dating. Because before it was one-on-one, you're looking forward to meeting the person because there's no cell phone
And
to
you
give
make a
them a
date
call.
2 days earlier.
You know, I know. Now is, I've just left work. You know, can we
But
hang out? How has that impacted?
But that's not on the script for courtship.
Okay.
You can say, hey, I've just arrived at the bar to your mates before you get into the courtship zone. But when you get to the point where you're picking this person as a possible spouse, suddenly you go back to the old rules. It's as if
You go to the bar together.
yeah, it's as if the phones weren't there.
Yeah.
So you start making an arrangement 2 days in advance, and you arrange to call at certain times and all those sorts of things. It's very old-fashioned, but it's sending the message. I am serious about this. If you use that script, your partner knows that you're serious.
Yeah.
The impact of technology on dating is usually twofold. At the beginning, when it comes to what I call citation, when you're choosing a potential partner, yeah, technology has made it easy.
Yeah,
you
very
know,
much
you
easier.
find them there all over the sites. There are those who advertise themselves, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and you choose and you try to work it out. Or there are those who, once you find it across their Instagram, whatever, you're like, hey, hi, how you doing? And contacts are easier to get these days than before, because then you would probably have to stand behind the fence and wait for someone to go in and say, I'm out here.
Yeah.
Then she would come out. Yeah, but the other thing that has happened with technology is that it kind of breaks down the stages, it condenses them a bit faster. Yeah, that it would make it easier for you to communicate and say, I feel like doing this, and then you discuss it on phone, because sometimes live might be a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you tell someone today, I just feel like a massage, you know, and then they look at you like, are you crazy? It's the first or second day. Yeah, but on the phone, you can actually even send them images and say, I want to do this, and then they'll probably express themselves and tell you what they think. Yeah, by the time you're meeting, that massage is already done. It's sealed.
Yeah, but I find it irritating, these people who imagine you can just WhatsApp all day, every day.
I know.
Yeah.
You should call a person, isn't that right?
Yes, you
Yeah?
should.
It's old school, but call a girl,
Yes.
call him.
Yes, and of course, on the actual dates, the phones should be off. Out of
Because
sight.
that's also
away.
another issue, that
Yeah.
you're seated there and people are...
Yeah, you can't do that on a date.
It's totally messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing you've got to be very careful of is some people are very skilled at knowing how to get close to you. So you've got to be aware of, I won't call them players, I'm talking about people who know how to make a connection. You know, for example, the people who know how to mirror your body language, the people who know how to mirror your choice of words, you suddenly start feeling much too close to them, much too soon.
Faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
We call them navigators.
Yeah, and you've got to be very wary of people like that,
Yeah.
and be knowledgeable about those techniques so that you know why your emotions are being manipulated. There's one very famous thing. There's a guy called Arthur Aron, who is a psychologist who studied intimacy for 20, 30 years. He produced a questionnaire where, I swear, if you go through the questionnaire, it takes about 2 hours, you're in love. It's really quite scary.
Wow.
Watch out for somebody
Yeah.
who's using that questionnaire.
Ken, for those who are just looking to hook up and the other partner is looking for a relationship, to date, how do you see and able to tell this one is just...
One of the dangers of modern dating is actually incongruence. Yeah, you might like each other, you might be compatible, but you're incongruent in your desires, in your intentions, and so each one of you is playing a different game. The woman is there thinking, finally.
Marriage.
Yeah, the guy is like, okay, transition.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, that creates a problem because, like you say, sometimes it might be a bit difficult to try and hack out the intention on the first, second date, but you can tell from a man's language, from a man's actions.
The things you keep talking about.
Yes, if he's
More
the
than,
kind of guy who's
more than
settled.
anything else,
Yeah.
you must listen to what a man says, because men generally are rather straightforward about their intentions.
Very early.
Very early.
Yeah.
And women have a tendency to say, oh, he doesn't mean that, it'll be better later, you know. So he's dead right. If your expectations are we're courting, and his expectations are that we're doing something completely different, you better find that out pretty fast.
Yeah.
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 And again, it's exhibited in the script. If he's treating you with more formality, he's more serious. So a guy who's trying to make the first date all very, very casual is actually sending you a message.
Yeah, to say that I actually don't intend to be very serious.
Precisely.
Yeah, it's all casual.
And you know, there's the idea of the biodata, what we were saying, revelations happen on the first and second date. When you ask those questions, like what do you like, you know, and you'll not go to the extent of going back to asking how many people have you dated before me. No, you'll not get a correct answer. But what we are saying is that you can tell after the first and second date, it's very easy for that guy to come through as the kind of person who wants to date and then go into courtship, or the kind of person who just wants to watch rugby with you and take you to the movies and have his fun. Very easy. And women have this power called intuition, which a lot of men don't have. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, a woman can look at you from a mile away and say, you're the one my mother warned me against.
Yeah,
You
this
know?
is the bad crop.
Yeah.
But traditionally it was easy to get a sense of what of a guy you're dealing with, you know, a good person, background, because you know the families and what they do, very easy.
Social
Now,
recommendation.
Much more difficult,
exactly.
yeah.
Now it's more difficult.
Of course.
So without looking like a snoop that's going on to call everybody to find out who this person is, how do you go about still digging, well, in quotes?
Yes, the simple truth is you make small talk. You just meet and you talk, and you try and do it as far as possible in a non-romantic setting, and you swap some of this data we're talking about. Now, if you make small talk in a cold light of day situation, it's much more like networking, and so people are more honest, and you ask about work, you ask about mutual friends and things like that. People by and large tell you the truth. Ask the same questions with 2 or 3 whiskies inside you at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Everybody's telling lies.
Okay.
So you get the truth out in daylight before you actually agree to a date.
And the key is actually time. Just spend time together.
With time,
And
it all
these
becomes
things
clear.
He is bringing out that you have to spend time together.
Yeah.
That for you to get to where Chris is insinuating or talking about this, I need to spend time with Chris. And then you know, oh, that guy, you know, he's so much fun. You'll say, this one, no, he keeps talking about the Bible and all the verses. It's very easy. Very easy. Once you spend time with someone,
Let's take a call from Kyoko. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling.
Yes. I'm asking. There is the lady.
Sorry, can you have volume?
Hello.
Yes.
There is this lady. Hello. There's this lady.
Yes.
Is married. Hello.
We hear you. Just go ahead, sir.
Yes, he's married, and she greets me all the time. It's like she wants me to ask if it's her.
She wants you to have what?
She wants me to have a relationship with her.
A relationship.
And she's married.
Okay.
And I see her a lot, but she insists.
You're afraid of a relationship. Why?
She just wants relationship with me. As in, like, she wants me to have sex with her. What can I do?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Kyoko. I think Chris has gotten what you're asking.
Yeah, I think he's making a mistake. I think he thinks she's making an opening, and she's not. She's just being sociable. And he's doing something a lot of men do, which is men overinterpret a woman's interest. You know, a woman is casually saying hello to you, and you think it's a come-on.
She's interested.
And I don't think she is.
Okay.
So I think he should stay distant until she literally, you know, makes it abundantly clear what she wants.
Okay. So Kyoko, maybe she's not that
Stay
into
cool.
you. So Ken, I was going to ask this because yes, with spending time with someone, you'll find out information about them, but there's stuff they'll never tell you, even if you spend years with them. So that's where the village comes.
It's easy to find out.
It's easy to find
You know,
out.
like these girls who tell you, I didn't know he was married and he's been dating the guy
Rubbish.
for 3 years. That's total rubbish.
Total rubbish.
No, that is rubbish.
There's
What
always,
if he was a criminal?
unless he's really smooth, you know, like you could have 2 houses in Nairobi and one looks like your house, the other one looks like your house.
Yeah.
But even then
it's
you can
still-
suss it out
it's very easy to
because
do
people have obviously got, they're leading a double life. You know, intuition. Women have got intuition.
Yeah.
They've got intuition for a very good reason. You have to suss these things out.
True.
You
Yeah.
really do.
But getting this information out of a guy, there's no specific questionnaire. You just need to spend time with this man, and once you start asking those probing questions, again, watch his body language. If he's giving you straight answers, you get to know. And you know, the good thing with dating is that after 2-3 times, you start to meet his friends or his associates.
Yeah.
And then you're able to,
But
like...
now you see,
Yeah.
you put your finger on it.
Yes.
If any of this is not happening, then you should be running for the hills, because if you're starting to say we're an item and you're asking all sorts of questions and he's evasive about certain things, where were you last Thursday, you know, and you suddenly discover you don't know any of his friends.
Yeah.
Why don't you know any of his friends? Well, probably they're all women and they'd shop him.
Yeah.
You know, it's very simple.
Okay, we have Caroline. We have 2-3 minutes to go. Carol, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thanks for calling.
I just wanted to make a comment. I'm a single mother, and I'm raising a 23-year-old and 20-year-old. And one thing I chose is to adopt the archaic less modern methods in the dating game. I advise them to date vertically and save the horizontal for marriage. And I've noticed and realized how free and empowered these girls are, and I am. And a matter of compatibility, which you mentioned in your last program, we leave that to God. I don't think He'll punish us for doing things the right way. And I urge other mothers to do the same. It is very empowering for young ladies these days.
All right, thank you, Carol. So note that. We'll talk to Nyango as well. Nyango, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Excellent, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
This is Marty. Okay, I've met this guy,
Yeah.
and on our first date, he wants to marry. He was like, he wants to marry me. And we've not dated. I don't know him. I don't know things about him. So what do I do?
Okay.
Do you
I'm
like him?
confused.
Do you have any form of attraction towards him?
Yes, I do. And he like wants to meet my parents.
Wow, and how long have you known him for, you said?
Sorry?
How long have you known him for?
Okay, we have been friends on Facebook. Huh?
Uh,
Yeah, so on our first date, he proposed marriage to me.
wow, okay, thank you for calling, my dear. We'll definitely see what Ken and Chris will have to say. Let's begin with Carol, Ken.
Well, I tell you, let me jump in, being the psychologist.
Yeah.
This guy's probably got a personality disorder. She should avoid him like the plague. Any man who starts talking so seriously, so early.
On the first
oh, I
date.
love you on the first date. You know, I need to meet your parents. We're going to have 3 children.
But
Wow.
I agree. I think there's
Something's very seriously wrong with
wrong
that
with
guy.
the person.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Nyango, that's the thing. Stay away.
He could be smitten, you know.
No, 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 no. If he was smitten,
Smitten to that level,
no,
just want
seriously.
to meet the parents.
A sincere guy who's smitten will get an acute attack of the nerves. He'll be so anxious, you know, and he'll be holding back, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Quite the
Carol.
reverse.
Okay, summary. I think one of the things Carol has brought out, which is what I like about the modern child,
Right.
is that they're beginning to go back to the tradition where
Yeah.
they actually let you know, daddy or mommy, this is the guy. Yeah, and they're very open about it. Yeah, there's a time when that was almost getting lost in the 90s. Yeah, but now that's coming back, and these children are more liberal. They can tell you, the guy comes home, you know, your daughter will tell you, oh, he's coming home to pick me. Parents love that.
Yeah.
And she's a single parent, so for her, there's a big advantage that she's able to at least put her finger on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think about it, you'd rather that child who tells you he's coming home, because most likely it will be one person. But if every time she says, oh, daddy, I'll be back, there are probably 6 guys outside the gate
Out
every
there,
week, you know,
every
so
week.
yeah. So the modern child is also kind of regressing, and I think society will benefit from that.
All right,
Yes.
so parting shot from each of you. What your closing remark is?
Well, the most important thing is to be aware of each other's expectations. You know, you have to figure out where this transition is occurring from totally casual dating to courtship. And you must be conscious of whether or not your partner, your date, is seeing things the same way.
Yeah.
So don't make the mistake of thinking you're courting and he thinks it's just a totally relaxed date.
A friend of mine has just posted and telling me not to hate on, you know, the lady who called because he knows a couple who met on Facebook and are now married. It's about 6 years. But I guess the difference with these ones who have been married for 6 years is that this one they've just met physically now for the first time. And
Yes,
want to
yes, it's the
marry and meet
speed
folks.
that's the issue. It's nothing to do with Facebook.
True.
Yeah,
All right.
but I think for dating to work, I'll rely on Chris's advice for today, that women should let men be men. You know, if you try to...
Yes.
be
And
so-
men
Dead
better
right.
be men.
Yeah, absolutely. Dead right.
And it ends there. Once you do that,
Yeah.
you'll succeed.
Yeah,
but
so
if-
the women will let the men be men. I think we can agree on that, but let the men be men
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
man
God
up.
help us all. Man up.
Don't tolerate a guy who's not being a man.
Who's not being a man. True, you should not have time for that.
True.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It has been great to have you with us on Modern Dating, and I hope we have been of help in one way or another. And thank you very much for watching the show. Now we are back on this camera. Michael.
Very interesting conversation there. And
Yeah.
also, you literally took the words out of my mouth, because I'm thinking it's good to have the traditional way of dating,
Yes.
but with a modern woman, she's so independent. You'll
Yeah,
try
and
and
with
get
a
the door
modern
for her, and she'll
man,
ask you,
he's
why
so
are you opening the door for me?
manless
Do you think
sometimes.
I can't open the door for myself? So you're left thinking, okay, I was just trying to be a gentleman.
But also, yes, there's that side of the coin, but then there's the other side where you have a lot of boys and not men.
Oh yes,
not
we have
people behaving,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, many boys who are very happy to be taken care of by the woman.
Yeah.
So it's time for men
And also
to man
men
up.
who just behave badly, outright bad. Yeah, I have to emphasize that for all the women out there. So thank you very much for watching the show today. It was a pleasure, as always, to have you with us on Morning Express. So Michael, you'll be away tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow I'll sort of relax and take it
Sleep
easy.
in.
But tomorrow you need to be right here on Morning Express. We'll be, Michael Karanja will be breaking down the budget and what implications it has for you. It's important for you to have this information with you.
Yeah, so tomorrow we're going big on the budget. You don't want to miss that. Take care, and we'll see you then.